Hello, good morning. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our daily look at all things 2026 FIFA World Cup over in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. I am Chris Bell, delighted to say I'm joined by Stephen Browne. How are you, mate? You all right, Browne?
Yeah, not bad melting, but surviving. Got my iced coffees, so I'm all right, getting by.
Emphasis on the ice, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, honestly, I need one of those ice machines or something. I'm doing the little trays and I'm having to refill it.
I've got an ice machine. It is a game changer. It is a game changer.
God.
Although, the problem is even in this heat, like you make it, you look at your drink 3 minutes later after you filled it with ice, and like, why did I bother?
Yeah,
watered down Coke or watered down me Dr. Pepper. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but yes, it's nice to have brief 3 minutes of refreshing drink that you get before it melts. Honestly, I think this is how we started the show every day this week. By the way, it's just how we coping with the heat.
Exactly, that's what it is. Honestly, that's the conversation, isn't it? That's what everybody's saying, and it's absolutely true because it's been bonkers. It's been absolutely bonkers. It's kind of surreal as well because obviously sleep is not happening, and by fortune we've got these late kickoffs, so you can. I was watching Sweden and Japan last night, but I was kind of like, when you're really tired, but you're like, well, I'm not going to bed because I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah,
so I'll just kind of try and stay up and
go with it.
Yeah, it's been a bit surreal, to be honest, but yeah, it's at least we've got a World Cup where there's games happening if we're struggling to sleep.
Yes, that's it's certainly been a bonus. I think it's fair to say so far. And look, we know how the players feel now as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
They're
in nice aircon stadiums, or are they? Where like in England we have no aircon system
sweating
at all.
In a box room.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not built for it, are we? We're not built for it.
We're not. Right, let's get into last night's games. We'll start in group order with Group D, which was the 3 o'clock kickoff. The 3 o'clock this morning kickoffs our time. When I was talking to Jay on the show yesterday about Paraguay and Australia, he predicted, funnily enough, a goalless draw between those two because that's all they needed to do was just draw the game, get through it, and both get through the group, and that's exactly what they did to start with.
Yeah, but a little bit of a theme, isn't it, where I think teams are meeting and going, you know what, actually, if we just we don't have to go full pelt at this. We can just, we're in a good position here. Let's just, relax. I mean, the combined XG in this game was 0.83. I think that tells you absolutely everything about this game. It's not going to be a World Cup classic, is it? But they've kind of, they've got the job done. Australia have finished second now. And obviously Paraguay, I think they have a 99% chance of, getting the third place qualifying. So, yeah, not a classic by any means. It sets up a couple of interesting ties as well. So Paraguay are expected now to face Germany. So that's looking like that's going to be a dead set for Monday, which is going to be a cracking game. And then Australia-Belgium, which is going to be fascinating as well. And it'll be interesting to see how they go on there.
That is interesting because, in fact, I'll come to the table in a minute or two, but I'm sure Australia are currently down playing somebody else by the current predictor. But this is just how things end up changing when you get through these games.
Yeah.
It's an ever-changing cycle, it seems, because of the third place table and who's going to stay in it, who's going to squeak through, etc. As you say, all Paraguay and Australia need to do was play for that draw. Interesting. I mean, there was to be fair 19 shots in the game, 7 for Paraguay and 12 for Australia. But again, it goes to show how poor they were because of that XG and how few were on target. 2 on target for Paraguay, 5 on target for Australia. So it maybe they had a little bit of a go, but at the end of the day, a point apiece settled the pair of them. The other game in Group D saw Turkey, who were already out of the competition by means of head-to-head, even if Paraguay or Australia had lost to finish on 3 points and Turkey had won 6 or 7-0, it still wouldn't have made a difference. Turkey would have come bottom of the group regardless. But obviously for the US, they would have wanted to have finished with 3 wins out of 3, you'd have thought, because they'd done so well in those first 2 games.
Yeah, I think there's been a bit of snarkiness in Potcher's press conference as well. I did see a headline about him kind of reacting about, oh, we've not won the or something like we've won the group, we've qualified anyway. What does it matter if you win all 3 games? I think there's a stat flying about as well. I mean, whatever America's expectations are, that I think since 2002, no team that's ever won all group games has gone on to win the World Cup. So there's a little bit of a hoodoo around that.
Yeah.
It would have been nice, look, as a host nation. Mexico have done it, haven't they? They've won all 3 games. Gives them that confidence going forward. I think it was a heavily rotated USA team, though. 9 changes.
Yeah, I was just looking through it now, and
yeah,
I think there was only McKennie and Aronson, I think, that had been starting.
Yeah. Well, I think
back 4 in midfield and in attack, pretty much apart from those 2 that I mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Pulisic came back as well after his calf injury, so that's good for them. I think that putting minutes in his legs again, he's looked really good. He's kind of a key component for their attack. So to get him kind of back on the pitch, get him ready for that next round, who they're facing, and yeah, I don't think they should be too disappointed by it. I think Turkey, a lot of pressure on them. A lot of calls for changes to be made. Fantastic bit of improvisation for their winner from Gula as well down the wing. Fantastic little piece of trickery and sets up the winner. But ultimately a real disappointing tournament for Turkey. Not to have done more really. USA going strong.
98th minute winner it was for Turkey. Weird one on Turkey. I was talking to a mate of mine last night, and we've said actually over in the last few years, certainly going back to Euro 24 and even the World Cup, I think 4 years ago in Qatar in 22, about Turkey and how on the face of it they've got on paper a far better side than the actual results in tournament performances suggest, because they turn up at these competitions and wobble, throw an absolute wobbler really, and don't live up to the potential that you see on paper in the squad. But it's the old cliche that games aren't played on paper, I suppose. The group table then for Group D looks like that. The US top the group with 6 points regardless. Australia go through in second. Paraguay getting through in third place. And you would think even with a -2 goal difference, the fact that they've got 4 points should be more than enough in the end to get them through. And as you can see just at the bottom, the latest kind of as it stands is that the US will play Bosnia, Australia will play Iran, and as you mentioned, Paraguay and Germany. But yeah, Australia to play Iran. But again, I think Iran have still got to play their third game. So obviously they could end up dropping out of the third places, moving up to the third places. And yeah, we're not going to be certain, I think, until we get to the end of Sunday and we know then, when all the group games are done, exactly who's playing who and who is getting through in the third place playoffs.
You've probably touched on it this week. What do you make of all these kind of different permutations? It seems probably more complicated than it's ever been. I don't know, or more kind of up in the air, because it's kind of the way it's kind of scaled as well, isn't it? It's like head to heads rather than goal difference, and you've got like
it's interesting.
Working it out.
We had this chat Wednesday, I think, when I was on with Jay and Lou. I quite like this third place permutations and this third place table and this little bit of extra drama. Lou, grumpy old man that Lou is, absolutely hates it with a passion and doesn't think that if you finish third, you deserve to get through. But I did have to correct him, though, to be fair, and say, well, the only other alternative, if you don't want these third places to make the numbers work, is another expansion to the tournament where you have more groups and just the top 2. So, which way do you want it? Do you want to expand it to 1 million teams, or do you want to let some third place teams go through for the numbers? You can't have it both ways.
No, it's really difficult, because I get what he's saying, and I think as kind of football fans, there's that traditionalist kind of thing that we have where we don't really want it to change. We want things to kind of stay as we know them. I think, when you hear about an expanded World Cup, you kind of groan and think, oh, it's just, making it bigger and expanding. It's like the Champions League, isn't it? Bigger, more games. But I think with the World Cup, you've seen some of these nations that have not played before, and it's amazing to see. It is amazing to see these nations involved. I've got to say it. I do agree with Lou in terms of I'm not that keen about third place getting through. But I take your point as well, the fact that, look, if it's going to be expanded, they've got to kind of work out a system, work out a way. I'm absolutely buzzing for the knockouts. I still think it's going to be absolutely,
I think it's going to be great, these knockouts.
Yeah.
You look at some of the games we might get on paper. And the thing is as well, and we've said this, again, I said this with Jay the last couple of days, that ultimately everyone that is there has deserved to get there. Like, you look at the sides that aren't there because they just didn't have a good qualifying campaign. Yeah. So many sides that you would traditionally see at a World Cup tournament that aren't there. Italy, Denmark, Nigeria, Cameroon, Costa Rica's. I mean, I think I was on with Gaz the other day, and I went down a little bit of an on-air rabbit hole of looking at how the likes of Uzbekistan and Cape Verde, and there was one other that's a new debutant there, how they qualified. And to be fair, they were ahead of, as I say, what you class as more familiar, more recognisable sides in World Cup tournaments. And that's why we just ended up with so many debutants this time around, is that actually these debut nations have out-qualified what you would consider the bigger nations that aren't there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They've earned their way, haven't they? And I think, and look, I can see Lou commenting, and I agree with a lot of what Lou says around this. I absolutely do, and I totally get
Old
it.
Man shouts at clouds.
But he's right. But it wasn't broken. It didn't necessarily need fixing. I think what the concern will be is, look, if they continue to try and expand it. One thing I remember, do you remember when they were rumoured a few years ago about having a World Cup every 2 years? Now that I would be like, please, God, no, not a World Cup every 2 years. I love the World Cup, but it's like, your favourite meal. If you have it every day, you get sick of it.
I think that's unfortunate enough, because I love the Euros as well, though, to be fair. I really do love the Euros. So I think
exactly.
And we get something every 2 years. That alternation works absolutely superbly, to be fair. It's gonna be I don't think anything's changed. I don't see us going back. I know Lou wants to back to how it was. I don't foresee that happening. I welcome the extra games as well, to be honest, just as a football fan. I've loved it, these extra games. Like, it's filled the summer and it's going to fill the summer a bit better than it usually does, because there's that extra round of games, the extra matches we played.
Do you get like post-group depression a little bit? When the games start to drop down, there's not
when they start thinning out.
It's horrible. And when it gets like semi-finals, it's like 6 days between games. You're like, I don't know what to do with my life. What am I supposed to? How do I fill the time?
It might not feel quite as bad as normal as it does in previous years, because of the time differences and the fact that we've had like 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. kickoffs and stuff. I've not been able to watch as many of the games. Like, usually, if it was on like European time zones, I'd be there watching the game that's at 2, 5, 8, and 10 or whatever. I'd want to watch them all. But because obviously with time difference, I've not been able to take them all in. So I possibly might not miss that drop off quite as much over the fixtures. But it's the problem is going to come is when we end up with these knockout games and you only get like 2 games in a day or whatever, or an evening, and one of them kicks off at 2 a.m. That's when I'm going to be a little bit stuck and I have to force myself to screw my own sleep pattern. That's already bugging enough as it is over the last couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie. Especially with the heat as well. It's just, it's chaos. It's the things you do for World Cups, eh? Don't forget, I've got a few comments coming in. Just on a Turkey situation, Jen said they had 64 shots before Turkey scored their first goal. Machina Joe, thanks for joining us, Joe. He's in Sydney. He says normal goal difference is how it should be, not the head-to-head. It has really thrown the group situation a little bit weirdly, I think, by going on head-to-head rather than goal difference. Michael, thanks for joining us. Michael, he says he's getting dicey with Scotland to make that third place, hanging by a thread. They're just not going to do it. I just cannot see it. I think they've gone from something like a 42.5% chance of getting through after their game to something like a 7% chance of getting through as it stands with the games still to be played. It's
I'm checking one here. It's saying 12%. but it's still very.
It's up as high as 12, is it now? But even
yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is. Yeah, I mean, it's on the Athletic. I'm looking at that, so you hope it's reliable. But I'm like 12%. I'm like, if you're going for surgery and they say you got a 12% chance of making it through, you'd be worried, wouldn't you? So
you'd be right. You'd be very affairs in order, wouldn't you?
You'd be making your arrangements, wouldn't you?
Oh gosh, that's 23. I don't know if this is true. It's interesting. The 2030 World Cup 100th centenary, of course, from the first. We played across 3 different continents. If that's the case, then God forbid the kickoff time is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I don't want to think that far ahead.
What are the continents? That's what I want to know. I mean, what Jesus, brace yourself for that. Yeah. This is the thing. I mean, they want growth, they want to expand, and it's just going to continue, isn't it? It's going to continue to get bigger, and we're basically just going to have to kind of, I might have to leave my job or something at that point just so I can watch it. Because it's just, over 3 minutes, that's going to be some demand.
No, it's going to be a nightmare if that goes ahead. Let's move on to Group E then from last night. Curacao, they were beaten by 2-0 by the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast, who, to be fair to them, have looked pretty strong for me in this tournament. They certainly gave Germany a real game. Yeah,
they did. Yeah, I mean, it's they've kind of, I think they've won multiple matches at the World Cup for the first time as well. So they've made history there. Nicolas Pepe in this game as well scored a couple of fantastic goals as well. And it's just that's a great thing about World Cup is that you see these players that have been played a few years in the Premier League, popped off, and then they pop back up at the World Cup, don't they? And it's like Rodriguez at Colombia, isn't it? Still doing it for them. But I mean, Curacao, I mean, it's been an amazing tournament for them. And obviously they've had so many high points. I mean, a memorable goal against Germany. There was even a sliver of a chance if Germany had beaten Ecuador. So it was still kind of there. We won't forget the 15 saves from their keeper in that game as well. Absolutely brilliant. So an amazing first tournament for them. But Ivory Coast, you wouldn't want to be coming up against them. Definitely not.
Absolutely, they go through with 6 points in second in the group. Germany, despite that defeat against Ecuador, top the group. But the scenes in the aftermath of the match, from the Ecuadorian coach, from the players, from the supporters in the stands, were probably just some of the best celebratory scenes that we'll see at this World Cup. They were absolutely superb. And look, I'm not going to lie, I didn't necessarily expect Ecuador to be... Well, I certainly didn't expect them to pull out that result out of the bag for a start, judging on what I'd seen of them against Ivory Coast and Curacao in their first 2 games.
No, absolutely not. They were going to, try and get further than they have for a long, long time. I think 2006 they made the knockouts when I think England beat them then. So they were looking to improve on that. I agree with you though. I didn't really give them much hope. Obviously, Germany had already qualified, so maybe they were a couple of % off it, in terms of that, but can't take anything away from Ecuador. Like you say, the scenes in the stadium, I mean, that is a game where I was like, I would give anything to have been in that stadium just to witness what that atmosphere was like. I mean, even when when you're watching on TV, sometimes you don't get the full kind of impact of it, but it felt like it was coming through the TV. It seemed absolutely incredible and means so much. I think there's question marks over Manuel Neuer. I think Neuer for Germany, I think it's an strange one because, he didn't play in the qualifying, did he? And Germany, they have, his name escapes me, but the keeper they had in played the whole of qualifying, and then Nagelsmann has decided to change it to Neuer. I thought the second goal, he just looks so vulnerable. I mean, I don't know what you made of the Ecuador winner, but Manuel Neuer of 10 years ago, that just doesn't happen, does it?
That's it, isn't it?
They've got a big decision of Germany. They've got a big decision because I think, you can't have that level of vulnerability if you're a team looking to, hopefully try and go and win it. I just think he's a major weak point for them. So it'd be interesting. But take nothing away from Ecuador. Fantastic result. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is a strange one with the goalkeeping situation in Germany. As you say, I'm trying to think who was in the qualifier. Was it Nubel? Was it Alexander Nubel? Or they've also another Oliver Baumann in the squad as well, and
might have been Nubel. Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah,
Nubel.
but to bring Neuer back in, obviously he's been ever present and reliable when it comes to the tournament games usually. But what is he now? Is he 38 or 40? I think
I think he might be 40. Yeah, and it's a strange one because you get the kind of experience, and obviously he's won the World Cup before and everything like that. But even watching Bayern in the Champions League this year, you could see that there was that erraticness to him a little bit, where it's just kind of gone a little bit past him. And I think he's been, unbelievable. Neuer. I mean, if I had to pick a goalkeeper over the last 20 years, he'd be probably top of the list, really, in terms of the consistency and everything. But, it comes to everyone, doesn't it? Time catches up, doesn't it? And I think I'm just surprised that they've kind of brought him back in, and Nagelsmann's, gone with him. Really, I don't fully understand it, but who knows? Could be proven wrong.
Time will tell. Just a couple of comments as well. Michael said that Ecuador are likely to be England's opponents should England top their group. Jeddo saying this is a sign of things to come. The upsets, obviously, seeing Ecuador beat Germany the next round will pull up some upsets, says Jed. It's going to be interesting. It really is. Just looking at the group, excuse me, for Group E, then Germany and Ivory Coast both on 6 points. Germany ahead on goal difference and on head-to-head, actually, in this case, with them beating Ivory Coast. Ecuador, 0 goal difference and 4 points. Again, the fact that they're on 4 points, you would expect will be enough to get them through, without a doubt, into the knockout stages. And as it says, that as it stands, Germany will play Paraguay, the Ivory Coast will play Norway. Now, if that does end up like that, that's going to be a hell of a tasty physical battle of a game. Is that one? And then Ecuador will play England. Let's move then into Group F, which was the midnight kickoff UK time last night, which saw Japan and Sweden take a point apiece in a game in which they only needed a point apiece, and Tunisia beaten 3-1 by the Dutch, which sees the Dutch top the group.
Yeah, exactly. The Leeds United World Cup derby there, wasn't it? Yes. Japan versus Sweden.
Gabby Goodmanson versus Altanaka.
yeah. And I mean, again, one of those type of games where you're questioning a little bit, the motivations there. It was a good result in terms of, both teams getting through. It didn't, I mean, yeah, the first half in particular, it was a bit slow, wasn't it? And you could see that neither team was really going for it. I think Sweden are a bit of a strange one. I can't quite work out what's going on with them.
This is the thing. How are you supposed to work them out when they go from a 5-1 victory to a 5-1 defeat? But then I also said to Jay, I was like, that says a lot about this particular group, of just how it is almost a group of 3 tiers. You've got, Tunisia have proven to be the whipping boys of the group. You've got Sweden, who are that kind of mid-range sort of side that are decent enough. I mean, Japan, to be fair, you could arguably throw in there because of the point situation for them. And then the Netherlands have been head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely bizarre. I really like Japan. I do really like Japan. I think they've just got so much talent all over the pitch. I think they're disciplined. They look as if they're tactically switched on. Shout out to Altanaka as well. I thought he was absolutely superb. And they referenced it a few times on commentary. And
I was about to say, even Chris Sutton on Co-Coms said how well Tanaka was playing.
He just looked absolutely superb, and it's funny for Leeds fans watching it because he didn't, I think he started 14 games in the Premier League last season, and he had a bit of an up and down season. When you saw him last night, you think, God, how did that guy not play week in, week out? But if you watched Leeds all the way through last season, me and Jay have talked about it a lot on our show, the fact that, at times, he was dropped, justifiably so. But it seems as if now it's come to a point in the season, he had a great end of season with Leeds. It's carried over into the World Cup, and he just looks absolutely classy. Gabby for Sweden is an interesting one because he ended up at left centre back, and I was like, I'm not sure about.
Well, you were thrown
that.
by that, weren't you? You were really thrown by that. But then at the same time, I saw Jay put in that apparently prior to joining Leeds, he has ended up in that kind of left centre half and a more flat left back role rather than the wing back that he seems so familiar in for Leeds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was because the thing with Gabby is, I feel almost like we're in that left back or left wing back role. What he's best at is them forward runs, bombing on. He's like, you can't stop him. You kind of take that away from him when you plop him at left centre back. And I think defensively, he is a little bit vulnerable. He lets men go and he's not keeping an eye on stuff. And, so I was surprised. I mean, personally, if Leeds played 3 at the back next season, had Gabby on that left centre back role, I would be a little bit concerned. Wing back, love him. Left centre back, not so sure. But yeah, I mean, getting back to that group as a whole, I mean, Tunisia, I was looking through some information on them. I mean, they've got to be one of the worst World Cup teams ever. Sort of lost all 3 games, 2 goals scored, 12 conceded, minus 10 goal difference, sacked their manager after the opening game. There's only North Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Zaire that have performed worse.
Worse.
Yeah. So I mean, they've been outstandingly bad, really.
Outstandingly terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they've hit the heights, haven't they, really, or the depths? But yeah, it's not been great for them. Netherlands, I mean, where do you see Netherlands? I mean, are you looking at a team? Do you think they're one of the teams to kind of possibly?
They seem to be flying. Yeah, they seem to be flying under the radar a bit for me at the moment, which baffles me because I'm not being funny. Look at the squad that they've got.
Yeah,
and I mean, I know it is very Dutch to have a hell of a squad and to underachieve, and the fact they've never won a World Cup is 3 finals they've reached but never won it or something is baffling.
Yeah.
I like. There's a lot to like about this Dutch side for me. Like, there's very little to complain about. I just think it's such a quality squad. And I've always liked the Dutch anyway. Like, generally speaking, I like the domestic league. I like the national team as well. And there are some bloody amazing players over the years, like growing up and stuff when we were kids. And to be fair, a little bit before our time as well.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see them do well. I was willing them on back in, what would it have been, 2010? I think when Spain beat them in the final, when they went a little bit martial arts in that final. And
it wasn't the kind of total football kind of version. It
wasn't what we expected, was it? Nigel de Jong and Mark van Bommel just absolutely killing Spaniards left, right, and centre. Yeah, but I hope they do well. To be fair, I really do. As it stands, with the groups of Sweden finishing 3rd, Tunisia bottom, the Netherlands would play Morocco again. That is one that on the face that you look at and think, God, what a game that could be. Yeah. Same for Japan versus Brazil, again. And then Sweden would play France, and even that. I know France would be massive favourites for that one, but I look at this Sweden side. I was saying this to a mate of mine last night, just before their match. And it's such a strange one in Sweden because back in, they've always had good forwards, to be fair. As long as I can remember, you go back, obviously, Ibrahimovic. Before Ibrahimovic, it was Henrik Larsson. Yeah. But midfield and defensively, they've had, in the past, I think, more household names, if that's, maybe not quite the case. But you know what I mean? For those fans of the Premier League, there was always a Freddie Ljungberg in there. There was always a centre mid or a centre half that had played in the Premier League for, I don't know, West Brom or something.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at that squad now and it doesn't seem to be quite what it was, shall we say, behind the front two. However, I contradicted myself then by realising in that starting 11 last night that 6 of the starting 11, funnily enough, do play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
One of those is Victor Lindelof, who's always been really good at international level for Sweden and when he was at Benfica, but he's now just tarnished with being terrible for Man United and doing okay at Aston Villa this season.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It is a strange one, and you think it doesn't seem like they've managed to kind of unlock Isaac and Gyökeres quite yet, and it's so difficult. It's that thing of almost like being overloaded in one position of the pitch with loads of quality. You're trying to crowbar them both in because you can't not play either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Scotland, and is it? With Tierney and Andy Robertson. Why do they play the same? It's that kind of conundrum a little bit, and you just wonder if the pieces of the jigsaw are going to come together. Obviously, had a terrible qualifying campaign, not winning a game, so it's kind of luck more than management. That they're here in the first place. I think against France, it's going to be very difficult. But I mean, when I watch Isaac in particular, some of the stuff he's able to do. There was a moment in the game last night where this little layoff that he does, and it's so deft. You're just like, he's top class. When he's performing like that, he is absolutely top class. So they've got weapons there to hurt France.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Is there enough in the overall kind of mixture to do it?
Their best chance is the likes of Gyökeres and Isak taking moments, because they're not going to have a hatful of chances, you would think, against the French. So they're going to have to be clinical in front of goal if they are going to trouble them at all.
I'd be worried about that defence though against France. I really would.
Yeah, having seen what the Dutch did to them. Yeah. You're probably right. I'm probably just a little bit of wishful thinking on my part there that, hey, you never know. Let's hope for an upset. Anything to duck the French out as early as possible, to be fair. Did you see, as well, just before we move on from that one, after the game, Anthony Elanga had to be consoled/corrected by Graham Potter, because apparently at full time he was sat on the turf, like punching the turf in frustration, hadn't realised that a point was enough to get them through.
So I will actually, do you know what?
He's there gutted thinking they're going home, only to be told, no, Anthony, it's okay.
What I've seen. But yeah, that's funny, isn't it? He's absolutely beating the turf, and he's like, "No, don't worry, mate. You're still through. It's fine.
You're still through." Tell you something as well. Anthony Elanga, I know he scored last night as well, but when he came off the bench against the Netherlands, he looked bloody excellent. Yeah. I know he's been pretty poor for Newcastle overall this season, but there was a superb Magnuts on Van Dijk in that Dutch game as well. So. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they get on in particular. A couple more comments to go through. Michael says some of us look good for the Dutch, only had a few caps. I think he's right there, to be fair. He's played well in this tournament. Obviously, it'll be interesting as well with Somerville to see what happens with him domestically, of course, with West Ham going down. And Machina Joe, he said Netherlands, Morocco confirmed the same as Brazil versus Japan. So, yeah, some mouthwatering games in prospect.
2 a.m. What do you reckon? 2 a.m.
It's going to be. I'm going to have a quick look.
You've got to get up for them as well. You got to. I mean, God, you can't miss them. They're absolute belting games. Then
let me just double check.
Are you going to see what time?
I'm going to just quickly see what sort of time.
3 a.m. 3 a.m. Please no.
I mean, as it stands, what was I looking for? Let me see. So, Japan, Brazil is meant to be, as it stands, if that is confirmed, that's 6 o'clock on Monday night. So that'll be a corker for Monday. What was the other one? The Netherlands versus Morocco. Here we go. The Netherlands versus Morocco, 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So, to be fair, on Monday night, that means you will get... by the looks of it, you'll get Brazil versus Japan at 6. Yeah. That'll be followed by, as it stands, Germany versus Paraguay at 9:30, nice. Which I think will then be followed by the Netherlands, Morocco at 2. Right. Yes. So you'll get 3 games, I think, in a night. And 3 very good-looking games as well, as it stands.
Who do you fancy for that Netherlands, Morocco? I think that's really hard to call. Really,
I think it is. I know who I want to win that, and that's the Netherlands, because I'd like to see them go well and do well. But I think that is a very hard game on paper to try and predict. I'm just going to put us over there and bring this up. This then is the TV schedule for the remaining, the remaining group stage games. So this takes us through to the very end of the groups at 3 a.m. on, I think we'll work out as 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. Yeah. So tonight we've got Norway versus France and Senegal versus Iraq at 8 p.m. Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia and Uruguay versus Spain. That should be quite a game at 1 a.m. and then that's followed by Egypt versus Iran and New Zealand, Belgium at 4. Think I'll stay up for Uruguay, Spain. Think I'll go to bed after that. Don't think I'll be staying up for Egypt versus Iran or New Zealand versus Belgium somehow. But yes, I mean, starting with kind of those top 6 games for tonight's groups, some I'll say interesting looking ones. You've also got, of course, Norway versus France, or as it's being billed, Mbappe versus Haaland, which irritates the hell out of me because there's a lot more to both of those nations than just those 2 players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's going to be absolutely fascinating. They both started the tournaments on fire as well, haven't they? So it's going to be a really good end. And what do you think, though, the mentality is going into a group like that when you know you've qualified? You don't have to go full pelt. I mean, I guess it's a chance to rest players and mix it up a little bit. You don't need to risk getting any injuries and that. But it should be fascinating. Hopefully, it's an entertaining game. Hopefully, it'll be fun to watch. Hopefully, Ireland and Mbappe are playing. We don't know. I would presume they will because I think they'll both be wanting to score as many goals as they can. I think Mbappe's just a couple off Messi, isn't he? That all-time list as well.
Yeah.
And then Senegal versus Iraq. I mean, looking at that position in terms of the group there, I mean, Senegal are at 53%, third place qualification chances. So that's, it's not absolutely guaranteed there. Iraq have got a 1% chance. So.
Yeah.
But I think they're pretty much there, I think, aren't they? They're going to be there, Senegal. But it's... it's not absolutely nailed on at the minute. I think looking at it, obviously Croatia have got 88%. You've even got Congo at 42%, Algeria higher. So they're up against Senegal.
I mean, let me just quickly put that up. I just had to quickly go and grab it and edit it mid show, but that's the table kind of as it stands.
Yeah.
For the third places. I mean, look, Senegal, they're surely going to have to win and win well because they are bottom of this. They are the only side in the third place position at the moment without a point. Obviously, Cape Verde, Belgium, Congo, all still to play as well. So if any of those sides, best of Algeria and Croatia, still to play, of course, as well. Senegal have got to go hell for leather. I mean, to be fair, so have Iraq, because actually Iraq could leapfrog Senegal into third. But obviously the goal difference for Iraq is even worse than it's for Senegal. Iraq are on -6, Senegal on -3.
Yeah.
That should just be a bit gung-ho, hell for leather.
Yeah.
Got to go
crazy last games of the group where it's just like there's no point sitting back. There's no point protecting anything. You've just got to absolutely try and go for it.
Which is absolutely mad when you consider that the game to watch in that group should absolutely be Norway versus France. But actually, all the action and drama may well be in the Senegal-Iraq game.
Is there any chance you're going to watch that instead of the France-Norway, or are you still going to plumb for France-Norway?
I might have to find a way if I can go for a dual screen approach.
Yeah, a couple of different devices. That's it. Yeah, got one on the tablet, one on the TV. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I'm fascinated for the Uruguay-Spain game.
Yes.
Spain looking to seal spot top, but Uruguay, they need a big performance. Keep those knockout hopes alive. It's fascinating with Uruguay. I think it's not a happy camp. There's a Twitter thread doing the rounds today about more problems under Bielsa there.
Really?
Now, look, I guess you can take it with a pinch of salt. You don't know how true these things are, but if it's things that are being leaked out, dressing room not happy with him, but this has been rumbling on for Uruguay for ages, for well over a year now, and we know he's leaving at the end of the tournament. And I'm praying, because obviously a Leeds fan, love Bielsa. I would love to see him bow out from Uruguay in a positive way. If they can get to the knockout stages, do themselves justice. But I don't know if the squad's good enough. You got Nunes up front who, hadn't played a game since February. Hadn't been fit since February. And, their little golden generation they had of Cavani and all that, they're gone. And it's kind of, they're just not quite what they were. And it feels like it's heading to a little bit of a bad end. And look, Spain, you don't want to play Spain on your best day, never mind when things aren't going for you. So
the other thing as well is obviously whilst Uruguay got to face Spain, and you could argue that Uruguay could get a win there, but ultimately, if Spain was to get the win, the other game in that group is Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia at 1 a.m. Cape Verde currently sitting on 2 points, 2 draws and 2 games, and those games, the hardest on paper in the group of Spain and Uruguay. Obviously, a win for them would put them 5 points, and they suddenly become the top group in the third place finishers.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating looking at.
Or actually, I say that they wouldn't. Rather, they would overtake Uruguay if Spain beat them, and Uruguay would become the third place team.
It's bonkers. I mean, it's probably. I mean, you've got Group G as well, which is kind of very kind of switch around and topsy turvy. But looking at Group H, Spain and Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, they're all sitting with those percentages. It could be fascinating. I mean, it's probably one of them where it's going to change the permutations throughout the game quite frequently. Yeah. It could be thrilling. Could be really exciting.
Yeah, Group H and Group J. Group G and Group H are both in situations where you've got a team on 4 points, 2 teams on 2, and a team on a point, because New Zealand, if they were to get a win in their game, currently sitting bottom of Group G, but New Zealand have got to play Belgium. Belgium who've been Belgium in this tournament, to be honest. I thought they'd do a little bit better, I'll be honest, at the start. I said to Gaz in one of our early shows before the group stages really started that I thought maybe Belgium would do a little bit better for not having that Belgian golden generation tag still on the back. I thought now that that's kind of been and gone, and the free of the shackles of Roberto Martinez, that they might actually do a bit better. And I was wrong, completely and utterly wrong.
Yeah, they're strange out there. They're under a lot of pressure. You know,
it's a squad in transition, isn't it? There's some really good young players coming to it, but you've still got some older heads in there as well, and it just seems to be a little bit. Nobody really knows where it's going.
Yeah, it feels like there's still that disappointment lingering. The fact that they didn't make the most of that incredible crop of players that they had as well. It feels like there's almost like a kind of lingering kind of regret, or what if, why did we waste so many tournaments under Roberto Martinez with these players a little bit. And you're trying to come out of that era now, and like you say, you're trying to maybe get a few up and comers into the team, but you've still got your De Bruynes and Lukaku's and all that. So yeah, it's a strange one for them. I mean, I can't see them, I think they'll qualify obviously, but I can't see them really doing much else in the tournament. Could be completely wrong. Look, it might switch on for them, but I don't know. There's just something, when you're watching a team and it just feels like there's just something not quite happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not too hopeful for Belgium's chances. Really.
Only a win would guarantee Belgium through. A draw for Belgium, as you can see, where they currently sit 10th in that third place table. A point, depending on goal differences for others, might just be enough 3 points to get them through in total. But it's about squeaking your way through it of 3 draws from 3 games if they were to go through. Before we kind of wrap up, quick look at the games that are kind of Saturday into Sunday. Obviously, we start with Panama, England, and Croatia versus Ghana. That's followed then by Colombia, Portugal, and Congo, Uzbekistan at midnight. And then Algeria, Austria, and Jordan versus Argentina, the 3 o'clock kickoffs, rounding off the group stage completely. Quick word on our group, though, Browne. Obviously, we've got Panama and Croatia versus Ghana. Could be quite an interesting game as well, away from our own.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's an intriguing one for England. I think after the game against Ghana and the performance, it's been a bit of a strange one. Like, England never do well in that second group game, do they? As well, it's kind of strange.
Michael's comment up as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing you say. Ghana, that defensive performance, they just put the blocks up, and I think there's a little bit of an issue with the wings for me. I think, I thought Anthony Gordon was so poor the other night, and I feel like, Tuchel got a couple of things wrong in terms of the subs and everything. So, look, it's only a group game. We're going through anyway. Plenty of time to get it figured out. it'd be nice to have a good performance. I don't know if he'll switch the team around much or what. Is it time for Saka to start or Rashford or we'll wait and see. Rest
They're
a couple
the two
of players.
changes I'd make, I think.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what I thought? The mistake was when he swapped Madueke over to the other wing, but then also put Callum O'Reilly. It was like suddenly you've gone from 2 right footers on the left to 2 left footers on the left. It was almost. It kind of works when you've got one and the other. It was just you just watch it going. Will they try to then do the same runs? So yeah. So a couple of things like that, but yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Yeah, the other game as well, Croatia-Ghana should be a belter as well. Croatia, I think they've got an 88% chance of going through as a third place team anyway, but they'll want to get the business done. So it should be an interesting game there. But yeah, we'll all be there supporting England together, won't we?
Yes. Yeah, Croatia, as you say, they're currently on 3 points after their 2 games. So for them, even a point against Ghana would see them home. And yeah, absolutely, we're all convening up at Jay's, aren't we?
Yeah.
On Saturday evening. Look, I'll take Jed's words. England aren't that bad. Don't panic, boys. Exactly. Yeah. We'll look forward to that and hope that Jay's ready for the carnage to unfold.
Yeah, but it's a rumours of a cheeky FIFA tournament before
possibly if people turn up on time. No looking at Downsy and Lou for that one, but it could be interesting. We just need to keep Jay away from it because he's far too.
I've been giving it big as well, and about FIFA as well. So it's I told you that it's on an Xbox in it, so I'm getting my excuses in. I'm a PlayStation.
Yeah, I play on PlayStation. I'm not an Xbox man myself, so I'm going to get those excuses in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, can't wait for it. It should be good fun, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a good performance, and we'll get a win.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We will be back hopefully on Monday. We'll look back at the group stages and start looking ahead to the knockout stages of World Cup 2026. The group stages just seems to have absolutely flown by. It has to be said. And here we are, nearly a fortnight, 3 weeks. How far in are we? About 15 days, 16 days, something like that. And,
just over a couple of weeks. Yeah.
The group stage is done, nearly.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And some tasty knockout games already getting lined up, and I love it. I just love it so much. Like the games are just so exciting, and worth getting up at 2 a.m. for, I think, as well. Can't wait for it. Fascinated to see what England do as well. But yeah, should be good.
Absolutely. We'll wrap up there. You'll be back on the channel very, very, very
about
soon.
5 minutes.
About 5 minutes or so, aren't you? You and Jay are going to be on talking all things Leeds United. Big thank you to everyone that's got in touch and commented over the course of the last 45 minutes or so. We do appreciate your comments. If you are not subscribed to the channel on YouTube already, do so. Give us a like, subscribe to it, and you'll get notifications whenever we go live across our channel. And don't forget to follow us on social media as well. W Yorks Football on X, and just search for the West Yorkshire Football Show on Facebook and give us a like on there. From myself then, and from Browne, you'll see Browne again very soon. You'll see me hopefully on Monday. We'll be looking back at the group stages and ahead to the knockout stage of the World Cup. Enjoy your weekend, whatever you got planned. We'll see you soon. Take care.